questions?
Yes.
My name is Jeff Kurtz, and I'm a colleague of Dr. Pryor's in the communication department. I just want to commend all 4 groups for your work. I thought they were really interesting, and you did a great job. It seemed implicitly and explicitly each group was concerned with a new and enriched sense of what public address means. So a new and enriched sense of what public address means in this, our digital age. I think that's really cool. And I'm wondering if you could distill for me what that new and enriched sense is.
I'll start. Well, the way that our generation talks today is definitely through, it's not like it used to be that always talking or writing letters or talking on the phone. We do everything through media almost, and virtual even, through texting. I mean, we do email, but Facebook wall posts, we talk through that. MySpace, Twitter, all that type of stuff. I mean, our generation expressed ourselves through a 1-sentence frame, on the internet even. That's how it is. Back in the day, maybe when you were younger, that just never existed.
I still have the quill pen I learned to write with.
And I can speak to that. I'm taking media literacy with Professor Kirkpatrick, and we talk a lot about how our culture is in the middle of a huge phenomenon shifting from a read-only culture to a read-write culture, where through the internet we're able to interact with each other a lot more and have our opinions out there, but also be able to respond to each other's opinion and not just have it be one way. So it's almost like a democratization of the print media that we're so used to seeing, like on the news and whatever. But now it's everyone has the opportunity to do it and post on the internet.
And that's sort of the same exact thing that I was thinking. I think of like the podium. When I think of public address, I think of a podium. And years ago, you had to be at the podium to address the public. Whether it was, your podium was being a journalist in a newspaper or an actual podium where you were addressing a large crowd. Now there's a podium everywhere. Now on the internet, you can make your blog your podium, your Facebook page your podium, and so it just gives that ability to anybody. Anybody can address the public nowadays, and that's what we sort of proved in this class.
And I think another big thing too is also the access to that. I mean, even 5 years ago, you didn't have a computer to access that stuff. Now people can do it from their cell phone. Anyone, anywhere, can access this information, and it makes you consciously aware of what you're saying and how you're promoting yourself, because everyone does have access. I think, as you said it earlier, anyone can get on my blog and look at what I'm writing, what I'm talking about, and it really makes you consciously think of how you are portraying yourself. You're not just portraying yourself now in one-on-one communication or over a phone call. You're portraying yourself to anyone who has access to internet, anyone in the world. And that really makes you conscious of, and really, it makes it invaluable skills to learn now before you make a major mistake in the real world.
And just kind of to go along with this whole idea of like the podium, it's everywhere now. There's kind of like a collision between what was like the public sphere and how you presented yourself in public and what the private sphere is. It's kind of collided because there's so many different ways that you can express yourself through Twitter, through MySpace, through a blog. There's more ways to represent yourself in the world and express yourself.
And on a last note, I feel like today versus the generation before us, speed it's different. We live in the world of statuses right now, where people just literally say what they're doing in one sweet sentence, and that's all people care about. But people are interested at the same time. Back in the day, people talked, and, when they were conversing with other people, they were long conversations, or when they were writing a letter, there was a lot to talk about. Now, and if you want to get an update on someone, you can find it like that. Back then, you really had to go and devote some time to figure out what someone was doing or why they were doing something, and you'd be interested in them. Now, when you're just surfing on Facebook, you can just look up friends that you talk to, haven't talked to in a couple of years, and you can get a quick note on what they're doing or what they've been up to. So I feel like we're more fast-paced today, and that's like, well, we did an elevator speech, first impressions within a minute. Maybe our first impressions now are much faster than they used to be. So.
Anyone else has a question, please feel free to discuss.
Because I'm of the older age than this one, but is social media really a good thing? Is it good to have everything so accessible and so fast? And a lot of the things I see on YouTube, are people really thinking that this is good to have on there? Because on there?
I mean, I think that it can go either way, as with really anything in life. There can be bad and good with anything. I mean, for example, for what we did, this was really like a great experience, and like Oliver got some feedback on what he was posting about what his interests were, and it's just really how you represent ourselves. Like for example, with our blog, that was just kind of talking about communication and our interests. Some of the things people put on YouTube, I would agree, they're misused, and that's not something I would put up. But just like with anything, you can use them and abuse them.
I think, as I've learned, with any advent of a new technology for communication, there's going to be some give and take, and some negatives and some positives derived from that. I know with the advent of the telephone, people were complaining that you're going to lose that face-to-face contact, and you're not going to be able to read people's body language. So I think this is just kind of another transition in which we have all these more opportunities to learn a little bit more about people and what they're doing and what they think. But at the same time, you're losing a little bit of that privacy, and it's a give and a take, and I think we have to kind of be responsible in knowing what's appropriate and what's not appropriate.
I think, again, whether it's good or bad, it really depends. I mean, you do lose a lot of that face-to-face interaction. I know, applying for summer jobs, I think, 4 of my 5 interviews were over the phone, and I had one over Skype, all through a different type of medium, but for being in school, that's invaluable because, I can't drive 3 or 4 hours to go home to have, an hour interview and then drive back to school, or drive, to a place I don't live and have no place to stay to have an interview, and so I think, with this advent of technology and this new social media, that it's invaluable in many, many ways. It's invaluable because it allows, all of us here to branch out and to go, to different, workplaces or fields that we would never ever had the opportunity to join without this technology. But again, you do lose a lot of the face-to-face, and there is a lot of stuff on the internet that isn't good. That is, that you see, and that's dangerous to an extent.
But there's also an entertainment value. I feel like people use YouTube, to get a couple laughs, Facebook, to just talk with their friends and just, shoot the breeze. But however, I feel like people need to make the smart decisions, on their own discretion, whether something is legitimate and should be used or should just be kept to themselves.
And if I would like to follow up on Sally's question, because I'd be interested to hear, based on where you started when you started the class and where you are now, do you feel like you have some sense of awareness about what you would want to put about yourself online, or has it changed at all?
Well, and that's exactly what I was going to say, is the goal of the liberal arts education is that we're going to come out of this school with, some level of skill in everything. We're well-rounded students and therefore well-rounded individuals. Whether it's a good thing or a bad thing that there's this massive rise in social media, it's there. And so you can't graduate kids out of a liberal arts school with no knowledge of the social media and how they're presenting themselves in that media. Because, coming into this class, I wasn't nearly aware to the level I am now of, how out there I am and how easily people can view me on all of these different forums. And I think it's an important part of my education that I would have missed out if I hadn't taken the class.